Compression garments are usually prescribed by a doctor following an appropriate diagnosis. The prescription should specify the model, compression class, as well as the diagnosis. If necessary, donning and doffing aids may also be recommended. Why is measurement so important? Only through precise measurement can you ensure that the stocking fits optimally, exerts the correct pressure, and can thus develop its full therapeutic effect. The customer should remain standing during the measurement process. Always measure both legs. If possible, take the measurements in the morning on the edema-free leg. A swollen leg can falsify the measurement. Mark the measuring points with an eyeliner pencil so that the lengths and circumferences are always measured in the same place. Measure directly on the skin, not over clothes. Measure with a tape measure, fitting snugly and without pulling. Skin measurement. Measure the length perpendicular on the inside of the stretched leg in each case. The circumference CA is measured across the metatarsal phalangeal joints. Here, it's important that the foot is fully under load and in a 90-degree position. The circumference CY is measured across the heel and instep. Here, it's important to lift the toes and tense the tendons. The heel remains on the floor. For stockings with an open toe, the length LA is measured along the inside of the foot. Here, the measurement is taken from the heel to the fold of the big toe to prevent the stocking from slipping. For stockings with a closed toe, the length LZ is measured along the inside of the foot. To measure the length LZ, measure the distance from the heel to the longest toe. Usually this is the big toe or the second toe. The circumference CB is measured at the narrowest point above the ankle. If this point is not visible, measure 2 finger widths above the ankle. The length LB is measured perpendicular from the floor to the narrowest point above the ankle. Tip: have the customer take a step forward so that the knee is in a line with the heel. The circumference CB1 is measured at the base of the calf muscle. If this point is difficult to see, please ask the customer to stand on tiptoes if possible to enable a precise measurement. The length LB1 is measured perpendicular from the floor to the base of the calf. The circumference CC is measured at the widest point of the calf. The length LC is measured perpendicular from the floor to the widest circumference of the calf. The circumference CD is measured 2 finger widths below the hollow of the knee. Tip: if the hollow of the knee is not visible, ask the customer to bend the leg slightly to make the area easier to see. The length LD is measured perpendicular from the floor to approximately 2 finger widths below the hollow of the knee. The circumference CE is measured across the center of the kneecap. Here, the leg is slightly bent. The length LE is measured perpendicular from the floor to the center of the kneecap. Note, the distance between LD and LE should be at least 5 centimeters. The circumference CF is measured at the middle of the thigh. In other words, halfway between E and G. The length LF is measured perpendicular from the floor to the middle of the thigh, halfway between LG and LE. The circumference CG is measured at the widest point of the thigh below the crotch, or 2 finger widths below the buttock fold. Tip: the customer can place his fingers under the buttock fold. The length LG is measured perpendicular from the floor to the circumference point CG, about 5 centimeters below the crotch, which corresponds to a width of approximately 4 fingers. The circumference CH is measured at the widest point on the buttocks. Tip: the widest point is clearly visible from the side. The length LH is measured perpendicular from the floor to the largest circumference of the buttocks. The circumference CT is measured at the narrowest point of the waist. If this is not visible, measure slightly above the navel. Tip: have the customer breathe in and out 2 or 3 times to assume a natural circumference. The length LT is measured perpendicular from the floor to the upper border of the garment. Tip: it is recommended that the upper end of the garment be positioned between the navel and the chest. The optimal height depends on body shape and stature. The front length LKT is measured from the crotch area to the measuring point CT close to the body, following the body contour. Tip: in the case of a sagging belly, follow the natural contour of the belly. Do not pull the belly up. The rear length LKT is measured from the gluteal fold to measuring point CT close to the body and follows the body contour. Please check the measurements before placing the order.